Thrive community. Here we are on August 15th, and I am so excited to be able to bring back on Charles Smaltz. He was with us last night when we were talking about vision in action. Charles is a mind, body, and soul awareness facilitator and practitioner, and he will share a little bit more about the work that he does. Before we bring him on, I just want to say a shout out to both Charles and I's good friend, Raquel Stuart, who is unable to make it here this evening. But what's so great is that this is how Rise and Thrive Together is. It's not always two people running the show. It's we are going to make things happen no matter what the circumstances are. So she's doing something extraordinary in other parts of her business right now, helping people become financially free from their circumstances. And I am blessed to be able to bring Charles back on so that he can share about the work that he does with regards to helping us be able to really live the life that we want to live, because all of us at one point in stage in our life have dealt with trauma, have dealt with really difficult situations. And when we're talking about vision in action, we get stuck, and a lot of the times we even can get resigned. And so I'm excited to have this expert on with us. Hi, Charles. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back. And as people watching last night knew that I had some technical difficulties on my end. Originally, I thought it might have been because we're under the heat dome where we are right now, getting the 100 and triple digits. But it did turn out to be some problems with the computer charging proper. And I crashed out at part of the show, but I was able to see that you and Raquel really carried it forward. And I'm glad to be back with you and working. It's working. See, it's working today.
Yes, so great. So this is a quick little behind the scenes and really like your time to rise and thrive and help others kind of really get to know you. So I'm going to start with, for those people, when you hear mind, body, and soul awareness facilitator or practitioner, can you share a little bit about what that is and the type of work that you do and who do you work with?
Yes, and it's a variety, right? Because it's mind, body, soul. So let's start with the body. I work with a lot of people that have chronic diseases or trauma to the body that they've done, medically everything's been done that they can, but they're in pain or they're having discomfort, or people that are going through very deep treatments for diseases that they're going through, like cancer or heart disease. And many times diseases I never even heard of, people would come to me and say, I'm suffering from this. Here are the side effects. Here's what's happening. And we can use our minds, and our souls are so powerful. And so we can use that to help with pain relief, to help reduce the effects of medications that might have side effects, to also have the medications or treatments. We have our mind and our body, and we know it in different ways. We know that there's times that I can think, you know what, I'm going to power through today. I'm going to focus on this, and I'm not going to worry about these things. I'm going to make it through. What we don't realize until we experience it or we tap into it is just how powerful our minds are. And one of the simple examples I use is you blink and you don't have to think about it. You breathe and you don't have to think about it. But you can take control of that breathing and that blinking. And, so I breathe, but if I'm, for instance, going through a panic attack and I'm, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. And then I realize, wait, I can take control of myself. I can start taking some deep, relaxing breaths. And now I'm not, when I'm like doing this, not only am I stressed mentally, my body isn't getting what it needs when I start taking those deep breaths, so that's a simple way of looking at, okay, if I can control those things, how many other things can I control? And the answer is way more than we would imagine. Way more than we would imagine can be controlled. And I've seen some amazing things happen. Work with people that, for instance, had a knee surgery, and because of their kidneys and livers, they could not take medications because it would. So here I am seeing somebody the day after knee surgery in the hospital, and the most they can take is an aspirin. And so I'm able to help them so that they can not just the pain, but also invite intention. And just like you're talking about, rise and tide together, your intention, your follow through. If your intention is to help your body heal, is to go into your body, and if the more you know about what's happening with your body, the more you can speak to what needs to happen. But you can have all the systems of your body work together with the medications and the treatment to bring you into recovery faster, or to have you suffer from less of the side effects. So that's one part. The other part is the mental piece. The mental piece dealing with stress, anxiety, past traumas, and abuse. And then you're able to go in and help people get rid of that negative energy around the abuse. And a good example we were sharing just before we came on, I just worked with someone who went through some horrific abuses as a child. Had a parent that directed the children to abuse each other. And just even hearing it, I was like, oh my gosh, my heart is so full for you and want you to heal. This person's gone through counseling, gone through some MDMR, some other things that help, and then was referred to, you need to go see a hypnotherapist or a meditation specialist to help you have those tools. So one of the tools that we do, and everyone's heard about it, it kind of gets made fun of in pop culture now, the whole inner child piece. I can tell you, as someone that suffered abuse as a child and went through the inner child healing, oh my gosh, does it change your world. It takes that part of yourself that is still fractured and still believes that you might be 40 years old and you were abused when you were 7. But to that part of you, that abuse is still going on. It's never stopped. Every time something happens, a verbiage or a partner touches you in a certain way, or a certain circumstance, or a movie comes on that touches you, that hits that button, you're immediately like, oh gosh, here it is. I'm back in this place. So inner child work, we go rescue that child. We go bring that child and we say, you know what? And that's what happened today. I'm almost in tears right now. Me and the client, we're in tears together today at the end of the session, because he said, you don't know. He goes, I was crying the entire time, hugging that child and letting him know he's okay now. We've come a long way. We're older now. We have our own daughter. We have all these things. And he's like, I don't know how to explain it. Everything's different right now. And I said, no, I get it. I get it because you've rescued that part of yourself, and not just rescued, but now you're loving it and you're saying welcome, and you're also bringing it into the present. That happened many years ago. And yes, it was bad. And yes, it was awful, but we're a big person now, and we got our own kids or our grandkids and different things in our lives. And look, we were always going to do this and we're doing it, it's like, it's such a powerful piece. And on the spiritual end, connecting with your soul, connecting with your consciousness, your awareness, the part of you that came here to experience being you. And so often, even if you didn't suffer abuse, so often in our lives, we will look at ourselves physically or mentally. We'll go, my feet are too small, or I'm too short, or I wish I was this, or I wish I was that. I would, and we have the same thing mentally. I wish I'm not smart enough. I'm not talented enough. I'm not inspired enough. I'm not connected to, and it's our mental self that will get in the way, that causes those blocks, that causes those fears. Well, I could do this, but nah, I probably can't. Blah, blah, blah. Here are the reasons. So connecting with the soul self allows you to bring in some inspiration that reminds you that, hey, we are mind and body, but we're also soul. We're also consciousness. We're also connected. And you know that with you and Raquel and the other people in your lives. Tonight, my show, When Jesus Calls Me Home, is going to focus on 2 major quotes. One from Buddha: to know everything is to forgive everything, yourself and everyone else. And the second one is a Mark Twain quote, and I just love it. And I'm so excited to be sharing the principles of it. And he said, the 2 most important days in your life is the day you were born and the day you discover why.
Oh, I love that.
And to me, it's the days you discover why. It's the times that you have connections to that special person in your life, whether that's a friend or a lover or a family member that you're just like, wow, we were meant to be here in this moment together. We were meant to do this together. We were meant to share this together. And I think the older you get, and now you start having children, now you know why you're here. You brought them here. And now you're helping shape their life and their experience, you know? And then you remember, you know, all the work you've done through your life, different types of ways that you've helped each other, different types of ways that Raquel's helped each other. Now you're coming together and creating something new. This is one of the reasons you're here. And now here we are, and I didn't know you except for Raquel, and now we're getting to know each other and we're getting to share. And so that's like what we talked about yesterday. The base of loving yourself and why it's so important is because then that allows you to bring all these things to life, all these inspirations. And guess what? None of us can do it alone. We need those people. We need those people helping us. You know, right after we get done today, I'm meeting with a group of people. Some of them I've known for a few years. Some of them I've been known for 30. And we're like, okay. And they've even told me over the past few months, Raquel knows it, I've been wanting to bring a new mission to life. And I've been struggling because I've been trying to do it all myself. And I wanted to make everything perfect. Before I tell anybody or show anybody, I have to have this. And I actually had my friends around me that I welcomed them to share, said, Charles, practice what you preach, bro. You've got to, doesn't it take a community? Have we not been telling you we have the time and the talents? You know, I'm not a big social media person. One of the people that's coming on and I'm meeting with today, he loves doing social media. He's like, I'll do all your social medias. You know, the other person is very business structured. I can be business structured and I can help other people be business structured, but personally, I can be like, oh, I just want to do the work. I don't care about the business. Well, do you want to eat? Do you want to pay your rent? Then you might need that business person to help you so that you got that going.
I love it. That's all about what we're talking about, what Rise and Thrive Together community is about, right? I have the question for you because we only just have a few minutes left.
Okay.
So what do you say to someone? We were talking about this before we went on. You know, the mindset is a really, really big part of this, right? Mindset for me is everything. So
Yes.
What do you say? You know, you've got this vision, right? You have this vision of yourself, and it's just been so, you know, like you said, so much trauma, so much stuff has happened. How or what could you say to the audience out there that's like, this all sounds great, Charles. This all sounds great, Regina. I just can't. Because like you yourself went through it. You and I both said, I'm grateful. There's one person out there listening that if you're watching this show right now, you're no longer able to say that I'm alone.
Right.
Because this is disrupting that mindset, that, you know, limiting belief, they call it. But really that inner child that has gone through something that is like so afraid, you know, so it's disrupting that. So I say that with love. I do say that with love, that anybody who's watching and you're like, I'm not sure where to go or what to do, I'm putting Charles's information here, how you can reach him on Facebook, you know, and how you can reach out to him if you'd like to have a call with him. You can also reach out to Raquel and myself as well. But what do you say to that person right now? You know, like, hey, I get it, but like, I can't get to that space yet.
Well, and that is its journey in itself. So many people suffer in silence, you know, and then unfortunately, many of those people are the ones that go into self-harm, or that will have abusive or destructive relationships because they don't know any better, and there's a part of them that's afraid. And very quickly, in a snapshot, what happened for me is I did some work when I was I was adopted at one point, and the people that adopted me when I was 11 to like 14, 15, they brought some counseling in, but even then I wasn't ready to share. There was many things I didn't share, some of the things that happened to me. And that's why I always say, I don't blame any of my parents. I have 3 sets of parents, and I don't blame any of them, because until I was 17 to 19 years old, they did not know. When I told them, they had suspicions, but they were like, we asked you and you said this or you said that, you know. At the time, the person especially the first person that was really involved with abuse with me when I was in kindergarten, told me bad things would happen if anyone ever found out. So you don't talk. That's another reason I talk to parents about really having conversations with your kids about you can share anything. And as scary as it is when it's age appropriate, sharing with them, hey, someone might tell you you can't share, or someone might say to you. I worked with a client just a few months ago who went through spending thousands of dollars of his parents' money on credit card because he was being blackmailed online, and someone had found him in a gaming room, got him to send a picture or two, thinking he was sending it to a girl, and then he was sending it to someone that said, if you don't pay me this money, I'm going to send these pictures to everybody you know. And when he finally came clean and told his family, they were like, you know what? We wouldn't care. If we got a picture of you that was a little racy, we would rather get that than have you hurt yourself or have you go into self-harm. So part of it is knowing that you can share. And for me, really bullet points, I know I can talk too much here, really bullet point, my ex-wife at one point, I just started a new relationship. I'm bi. I was a relationship with a dude, but my wife and I had separated, but we stayed friends. And one day she brought me a pamphlet and she said, Charles, I love you so much. Please read this. And the pamphlet was Male Survivors of Child Abuse. And I read it, and it had a little, check mark here. And then I check marked it and I flipped it over, and it says, if you have 5 out of 10, I had 9 out of 10 of these things going on, you might need to see somebody. And even then, it would take both my wife, and I always call her my wife because she's the only wife I had, my wife, and then my partner, both kind of coming together and saying, you know what, you these things you checkmarked, we see them, and you're a really good person, and you're a really loving person, and this always gets me emotional, but you're also not whole, my friend. You have some hurts, and who will you be if you let yourself do this? And not only did going through it transform me, but halfway through my therapy, I decided I want to do this. I'm going to help others. I was in my mid-late 20s at the time. I'm like, this is my calling. This is making me feel so much better and so good. And I'm being a better partner and a better father and even a better ex-partner, and I'm able to experience things, mind, body, and spirit, in ways that I never imagined I would be able to because of what happened when I was younger and the walls I built up around some of my physical expressions, some of my, I separated, putting it bluntly, sex from love. It was like, this is something people do to you, and this is what you do with people you really love. And
Yep.
when I brought that healing together, oh my gosh, did my world change? You know what I mean? And I've seen that happen for clients. And so it does take people around you encourage you. And sometimes it's having that conversation. The first time I started sharing what happened to me was itself the beginning of therapy, because I was able to tell my mom and tell my dad and tell my adoptive parents and say, look, this happened. I know you weren't aware of it. I want to share it. I don't blame you because it wasn't your fault, but I wanted you to know that there were times that I acted out in certain ways. Now I know why. And so sometimes we have to reach out to that friend or that family member and say, here's what's going on for me, and here's what's happening in my life, and I need some help. And then let them guide you, and then find the person. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be Raquel, Regina. It can be anybody that feels right for you. And then, yes, every client I work with, the one I did today, the one I did last night, they will say, this, I had to work myself up.
Yep.
The person I did the session with today has been putting on and off the session for a couple months. And then a couple weeks ago said, Charles, I got to do it. And don't let me out. Let's set a date, and I'm coming, and we're doing it. And I'm like,
That's
I know.
The accountability. That's the accountability.
And once we do it, you're going to feel so much better. And he's actually still here with me. He's not in the room because we're doing this, but he's like, do you mind if I stay a little bit longer? And I just want to talk more. And I'm just so thankful. And I'm like, absolutely. And it is a win-win, because every time I do healing for someone else, I feel a deeper healing. I feel touched in ways that, no amounts of money or no amounts of other works would do what this does for me. So I always feel blessed that I'm able to do this work, because it's made me a better person.
I love it.
So,
I thank you. That is like the perfect way that really everybody who's been listening, and if you're watching the replay, this is vision in action. He went from his pain and his hurts and went and found the people that he can go and share and trust, and went and did the work and went and got the support. And it took time, especially when you're young. It took time. And then when he started really healing, he realized that that's his calling. And that is what he's out to do, to have others be able to relax and let go and be who they truly are. Charles Smaltz, you are authentic love and pure love in my heart and my light. On behalf of Rise and Thrive Together and Raquel and I, we are so grateful you were able to come back on today. And we want to thank everybody who's watching. And if you're watching the replay, please put your comments in. We watch them, we read them, we will write back. And together, don't forget, we rise and thrive better.
We do. Thank you. And I'll be back with you, and you guys are going to be on my show coming up. We're working that out.
Absolutely. Bye, guys.
See you later.